watching The Top Corner, which, as this episode turned out to be sort of an awards special in many, many ways. We've spoken about the Ballon d'Or for the men and the Women Player of the Year. And we're actually going to talk now about the club that was named as the best club of last season. And that happened to go to Manchester City. Before we get into this, Andy Mitten's going to come back and join us with David. We've actually got a Manchester City fan joining us here. There he is. Aditya Swami is joining us. Where are you joining us from, Aditya?
Hi, John. I'm joining you guys from Mumbai, and it's an honor and pleasure to have me on the show and have a chat with you all.
Great to have you with us. Just quickly tell me, how long have you supported City, and what was it about City that appealed to you, that drew you to them as a club?
It's been closely about 12, 13 years that I've been following them very dedicatedly. And the moment of Sergio Aguero 93-20 and the jersey that I'm wearing also says it, that was the, like the cementing moment for me to, fall in love with the club and started supporting them even more after that moment onwards.
All right, brilliant stuff. Well, what we're going to ask you to do, because we're not one of those shows that's going to sort of put you in a corner and then put someone else in another corner and turn it into a kind of a slugfest. I mean, it might turn into something of a debate here, but with David and Andy around, they're gentlemen, I can tell you. We are going to get into the win that Manchester City had, and we're going to think a little bit about whether or not Manchester City were rightly voted as the club of last season. And what we want to do is just talk about the achievements. So if you take a little look at City, right, it was a domestic league win, won on the last day of the season, coming from 2-0 down, a defeat in improbable circumstances, perhaps even after the first leg in the Champions League semi-final, and then an FA Cup semi-final exit, quarter-final in the League Cup. So that was their season, right? And then you have Real Madrid, domestic winners, that extraordinary romp, or struggle, I should say, to another Champions League or European Cup. Quarter-finalists only in the Cup, domestically. And then we look at a Liverpool side that, of course, has been there and thereabouts for so long, and winners in 2 of the 4 competitions that they were involved in, right into the last stages of the season. Runners-up, of course, to Real Madrid, and runners-up in their domestic league. But it was City who were voted in. The fascinating thing about this, guys, is that they raised a few eyebrows, it must be said. Andy, welcome back. I was looking for criteria. I know we looked very in detail at the individual criteria. All I could find for this was that, it's not just based solely on trophies, which is where Madrid are guaranteed to win it, but you have to look at a club's achievements by the women and the youth teams as well, the club as a whole. So I think what I want you to do, and I'm sure Aditya will do this as well, is argue a case for Manchester City, because all I can think of is that at times during the season they played football that was so mesmerizingly good that it must have left its mark on voters who just there and then said, that's it, there's not going to be a better team than this year. It's going to be City who gets my vote. Do you think I'm going down the right path there?
Obviously, I'm delighted that City won the trophy.
Hang on, Aditya. We'll get Andy in.
I'm obviously delighted that Manchester City won that trophy, as you can probably see by my facial expression. I've got some very close friends who go home and away with Manchester City as well. They played fantastic football. They were worthy champions. Pep Guardiola is probably the best manager in the world. But do I think it's the right decision? No, I absolutely do not. Had they survived extra time in the Bernabeu? Yes. Got to the final, won the final. I get the point that it's not just about the men's team, but not Real Madrid. Real Madrid won La Liga last year by 13 points. And look at their run to Paris. And I was at the games covering it for yourselves. Yeah, PSG, Chelsea, Manchester City, Liverpool in the final. Madrid were outsiders at the start of that group stage. I cannot look beyond Madrid. I'm sure there will be some slightly different opinions here, and I'm prepared to listen to them.
Yeah, in a moment, Aditya, you're going to give us your opinion, but we're going to get a caller on the line right now. Calling in from Bengaluru, we have Kartik. Kartik, thanks for your patience in waiting to come on the Top Corner. So, do you agree with City winning it?
No, I don't think City are even the deserved winners. I believe that Real Madrid should have been the obvious choice because we see that, a player of the year gets chosen for whoever wins the Champions League, like Benzema won it, and so on and so forth earlier. And we see that even Liverpool were within 10 minutes of winning the title, just a goal shy of winning Champions League, and swept everything, and even they won the Community Shield this year. Considering everything and Man City failing at crucial hurdles, be it by softer margins, I don't think I see any logic from UEFA in doing that.
All right, Aditya. Okay, it's stacked up against you, my friend. Here we go. It's your chance. David, I'll bring you in just a moment. Tell me this. Were you pleasantly surprised that they won it, or did you say, yep, expected that?
To be very honest, I won't say that I expected it, but after winning it, I wasn't even having this stand that, okay, how the hell did we win it? I was really happy that our club won it, because whenever we talk about such a big award like a Club of the Year, and even in the beginning when you showed the statistics, you are only comparing with the men's football team right there. And when an award like Club of the Year is awarded, I feel like you have to look at the club as a whole and not just what men's football is doing for the club. And surprisingly, what many of the people out there, or the viewers out there, or the haters probably, because we get a lot of hate, so what they are not aware of is the fact that the City Eds team has been doing really good. They have won the Premier League 2 title for the second time in a row now, and the under-18s have been also performing excellent. They have won the national title and the North title, and even the City women's team has won the Continental Cup for the 4th time, and they lost in the FA Cup final. And they also had a lot of key, City women's team had a lot of key women's players who were vital in the role of England women's team winning the 2022 Euro title. So when an award like Club of the Year is awarded, I feel like they have done absolute justice by awarding us this award, and taking into consideration of all the factors, I believe.
All right, Aditya, thank you very much for that tremendous way of detailing, explaining and rationalizing why you think it's appropriate for them to win. Now, we've done something which in TV terms can be risky. We've let David sit idle for quite a while right now. He's been sharpening his opinions. He's going to come in off his long run, a former Manchester City player himself, men's player himself, obviously. David, right, what do you reckon?
Well, I think Aditya has done a marvellous job, as you said, with actually describing the club as opposed to the first team, senior men's team, more apparently, than and what they didn't achieve in comparison to Real Madrid's or even Liverpool's or whoever else you want to chuck in the mix. Because I do a lot of work for Manchester City, and I've got to say it is a fantastic club. You talk about the teams, everything that this club seems to be doing at the moment, bar the Champions League, ironically, seems to be successful. So I totally agree with what Aditya's saying. And I don't know whether, Andy can answer this, whether Real Madrid or Barcelona or anyone else in Spain is doing something on a club level that Manchester City are doing. And therefore they deserve it in that. If we were just talking about the senior team, John, I'm ready to take Man City. I've got a top here on Man City top. I'm ready to put that on one side and say that Real Madrid should win it because Real Madrid achieved more in the men's game. But as Aditya rightly said, this is more than just the men's team.
Yeah, OK. Andy, you know, you've heard a few arguments there. I mean, I would throw Liverpool into this conversation, and I would say that we have to remember how deep they went into the season with the tantalizing prospect of doing something utterly unprecedented, only for it not to happen. And let's face it, they were flat in that Champions League final. You know, they were close, as we've heard already in terms of the league. If they'd won one of them, if they'd won one of those trophies, do you think Liverpool would have had a chance of edging Real Madrid, Andy?
Yes, and they came close to it, and it was a fantastic team, and they played all of those matches, but ultimately, in the finals and in the final weeks of the season, it was Liverpool who did not win the Premier League and who did not win the Champions League. Again, we were all in Paris. Narrow scoreline, narrowly losing out on the Premier League. Liverpool, without doubt, are one of the best teams in the world. Jurgen Klopp is one of the best managers in the world. But I think if you're judging awards like this, then you've got to put your trophies on the table sometimes. And I can see the argument that it's not just the men's team. But I've got a scoreline in front of me here from the Women's Champions League that's last season. And that is on aggregate. Real Madrid 2, Manchester City 1. That just adds even more weight to the fact that Real Madrid should have won this trophy.
This is Aditya, I've got to just stir you up a little bit here. Thibaut Courtois, who's not shy when it comes to saying things provocatively, had this to say. I've just found this quote from him. When Manchester City won the trophy for the best club, we looked at each other and laughed. Well, I mean, he does like to sort of wind people up. Are you going to rise to the bait? Because I have noticed lately that people have been trying to stir up a sort of Liverpool City toxicity, trying to build a rivalry these days. Is that something you're conscious of, and is it something that you're worried you're going to have to respond to more and more sniping?
See, John, to be very honest, as a City fan in all this duration of 12, 13 years, I've always been in the receiving end of other football club fans' reaction, because we are like favorites for any fan to, yes, okay, something has happened, let's bash them. Okay, we'll talk some ill hatred or, some toxicity built up. But that's what, brings up the occasion of fans debate. And the toxicity also, kind of keeps us on check that what to say and what not to say. But coming back to Thibaut Courtois' comment, I think that's why I put up my point so well, nicely written, because I had also heard what he said, that we laughed. Even Toni Kroos tweeted something, and he was like, are you fans happy that Real Madrid came third, not even second, if I'm right? And that was also a little bit hatred, stirring up that why City, why Man City. So that's why I wanted to put my point right across, that when it's Club of the Year, you have to look at it as a whole aspect.
Brilliant stuff.
John,
you look like you can take it on the chin. David, what's up?
No, I was just going to say, if you look at the nominees for the final order of the Ballon d'Or, I think Real Madrid had 5 players in the top 10, 4 or 5 players in the top 10. City had 1.
All right. Well, Aditya, you've had. Yeah, I know you're just saying. Aditya, look, you've had your say. By the way, is that shirt what I think it is? Aditya?
Oh, I'm sorry?
Talk me through that shirt. Is that shirt what I think it is?
Yes, you're absolutely right, John. It's the 93-20 limited edition City jersey that they launched for Sergio Aguero's goal moment, and it has all those imagery of that moment printed on this section. And behind also there's an Aguero print, and it's because he's my favorite. I have enjoyed watching him year in, year out, so I had to grab the jersey as it was there.
I think we can all agree with that, and I mean all of us here. Aditya, thanks very much for joining us. You might have caught me just glancing away from the screen a couple of times, because one of the subplots that I've enjoyed about this segment more than anything is watching Andy Mitten's face reacting to some of this stuff there. And you were an absolute prize to look at there, Andy. You're an absolute pro. Thank you so much for giving us that objective opinion on Manchester City. What have you got lined up? Because you're always a man who travels and does amazing things. Have you got anything, Andy, interesting lined up in the world of football?
I've got a lot of travel before the World Cup, and I've been travelling an awful lot. There's so many games this month. I'll be at got Manchester United. I've had a lot of games. Very interesting week for Manchester United. Watch the women's team, watch the 21s. I'll watch Barcelona against Athletic Club Bilbao on Sunday, and then Barcelona against Bayern Munich. There's games every couple of days. It's just about balancing work with family life, really.
Absolutely. Brilliant stuff. You do it magnificently. Andy, thank you so much. David, thank you for being here. Aditya, thank you for being here. And thanks to all of you, those of you who got in touch with us. Whichever way you did that, you're part of the Top Corner, and we love bringing it to you. We'll see you for the next one very soon. From me now, John Dykes, saying I'm signing off. Goodbye.